Hi, I'm Ty and welcome to another AgileDad University video. In this video we're going to be talking about everything that you need to know to write effective and valuable user stories. Thank you for joining us for this video in the beautiful canyons of Utah. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Let us know what you'd like to see us do future videos on as well. If you'd like to read more details, click the link in the description below where you can read my blog and all of my thoughts on writing effective user stories. So first of all, what is a user story? A user story is basically a placeholder for a future conversation between the product owner and the development team. It answers three basic questions about what should be developed and what should be made that will provide value to the customer or user. The basic format for a good user story answers the who, what, and why of what we're building. The common format we use when writing a good user story is usually as a who, I would like a what, so that why. But by structuring it this way, we're able to get a better idea for the development team of who it's for, what they need, and why they need it. It just provides a much clearer picture, a more complete picture for the people that are doing the work and are developing the solution. Now generally it will be the product owner that will be writing these stories or ultimately responsible for them, but the product owner can use assistance from the business analyst, the functional analyst, and the technical analyst, as well as help from the Scrum Master and the development team to really flush out these stories.
What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
They're not set in stone. They're a conversation between the product owner and the development team, so we don't want them to be overly prescriptive or too detailed. A common pitfall that we see with people writing these user stories is they either don't write enough detail, they're just writing the what, and they're really staying at a task level, or they're going into too much detail and becoming overly prescriptive of how to solve the problem. When you start getting into the how, you've gone too far. We're only answering the who, what, and why, and we're leaving the how to the development team. That's what they're good at, so let's let the experts deal with that. I'm going to borrow an example from Jeff Sutherland from Star Trek. Now, if you've ever seen a Star Trek episode, Captain Picard or Captain Kirk, at the beginning of every episode, they start out, Captain's Log, Stardate 45213.
Captain's Log, Stardate 45944.54.
So why is it that Captain Picard in the distant future is timestamping his own Captain's Log? It's likely that he would like to automate that. So if we're writing his user story, as a starship captain, I would like an automatic Stardate date stamp in every log entry. And here's where it really becomes interesting, is the why. Now, why does each one of these logs need to be date stamped? Is it because we just need to sort them chronologically? Or is there more to it? Do these logs need to be date stamped so that they can hold up in a court of law and be completely tamper-proof? The why is very different in those two cases. The why, in this case, and in many cases, will influence the rigor with which we implement this solution. So just like Captain Picard, we have to be specific with our who, our what, and our why when we're writing our user stories. Okay, next we want to talk about 6 things that you can do to make sure that your user stories are as valuable as possible. Bill Wake wrote a great article titled, Invest in Good Stories and Smart Tasks. So INVEST is an acronym that we can use to really evaluate our stories in our backlog and make sure that they are providing as much value as possible to our team. So first off, independent. We want our stories to be independent of one another. No dependencies as much as possible across different stories. This allows our teams to pick up a story, create the solution, and that solution by itself will have value to the customer. And we don't have to wait and have one thing done before the next, and it adds a lot of additional complexity. Now sometimes that can't be helped, but as much as possible, we want to have independent stories. Next, for N, negotiable. Like we said at the beginning, these stories are a negotiation. They are a placeholder for a future conversation between the product owner and the development team. So this negotiation is where we're able to discuss what is and is not a part of the actual story itself. We're able to discuss acceptance criteria, discuss what is included in the story, and that's where we can really get a lot of the extra understanding that is needed for the development team to create the best solution possible. Next is V for valuable. Every story in our backlog needs to provide value to the end user, the customer, or internal to our organization. If each story is valuable, that's another way that we can provide value to our customers and our users every single sprint. Next is E for estimable. We need to be able to have enough detail that we can provide an estimate of the relative size and complexity of this story versus the other stories in the backlog. We can use things like story points or t-shirt sizes or dog sizes, whatever makes sense for your team, but we need to convey, again, the relative size and relative complexity of the story. Next is S for small. These stories need to be small enough that they fit in a sprint, and that's the biggest that we want. Ideally, we want them to be half a sprint or less, and there's a number of reasons for that. If the stories are smaller, we can complete multiple stories in a sprint. They don't become too convoluted and too confusing and too complicated. It's also a good morale boost for the team to complete multiple things and for individual developers to complete more than one thing in a sprint. Additionally, we want to keep stories smaller than half a sprint so that we have a little bit of wiggle room in case discoveries are made and something ends up being more complex or bigger than we thought it was. And last is T for testable. We need to make sure that we can test our solutions, make sure that they're delivering what was expected at the beginning, that they meet each of the acceptance criteria, and also that there are no bugs or unintended features from this story. We also want to go ahead and talk about acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria should be attached to your story, and they're a short list of bulleted items that you can check off to make sure that the solution meets the original aims of the story. You can almost think of it as the requirements for a story to be accepted by the product owner. So thank you for joining us here in the beautiful canyons of Utah for this video. We hope that it has been helpful for you. Please let us know what you'd like us to do our future videos on so that we can provide value for you. You can always reach out to us at learnmore@agiledad.com if you have any questions. Be sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss a video. And you can also check us out on LinkedIn or Facebook to stay up to date on any recent blog posts or videos. You can also join our AgileDad user groups there where you can discuss Agile topics with other like-minded professionals. Thanks and have a great day.